Trying to change your reputation in 2025 is pretty difficult, especially with social media. For Yamaha, the YZ450F has gained a reputation in the past couple of years as being the angry 450. Ever since the platform launched in 2023, it's been, I guess, more of a hard-hitting 450, really aggressive ergos, and a bike that, you know, has quickly been sought after for race teams and things like that, but potentially at the detriment of everyday consumers. Well, for 2026, Yamaha is ready to show a softer side to the YZ450F. I'm really keen to check it out. There's a revised engine, revised frames, new hydraulic clutch, a heap of changes throughout. So question is, can they change this bike's reputation? We're at the Appin Motorcycle Circuit just outside of Sydney. Let's find out. Okay, so let's get to some of the nuts and bolts for 2026. As we said, heavily revised bike, but one thing that hasn't changed all that much is the price. So 15,749 is the right-away price. That is still pretty strong and compelling in the 450 class, especially when you look at a lot of the Euro bikes, especially when you consider things like the new Ducati that's come in, the Triumph TF 450. This undercuts a lot of those by a significant margin. And I think for the changes that they have made, it's quite, you know, redeeming that there's no huge jump in price, because that's what we've sort of been used to seeing over the past couple of years. Some basic stuff, so 110 kilograms wet weight, 6.2 litre fuel tank. But let's get to some of these changes for 2026. So we'll start with the frame. So Yamaha says that they have narrowed the down tube of this bike, but also the outer perimeter of the frame in changes that are aimed at making it more planted than before. You're gonna see a theme with a lot of these changes, but they want the bike to feel more planted, more balanced front to rear. Not that there was anything, I guess, edgy about the predecessor, but they want to improve it, potentially in a move to bikes like, say, the KX450. It's really won an audience because it does feel so planted and stable. Outside of that, KYB suspension, KYB fork and shock front and rear. This stuff is industry-leading stuff. It's been around for a little while, but as far as I'm concerned, it's still the best that you can get at a shop level from the factory floor. So I think they've done really well with it. They've said the changes are aimed at removing the initial harshness of the suspension. So again, to me, that says potentially a bike that's easy to ride over the distance of a moto. Some cool things with the suspension as well. So before, I think from 23 onwards, we had hand adjustable compression for the forks. We've now got hand adjustable compression for the shock as well. So that means when you're out on the track, you can make changes to these bikes without needing the screwdriver, carrying it around in your pocket. So that's a really handy feature. You can change the clickers as you go. Now let's get to the engine. There are numerous changes for 2026. I won't get too much into the technical side of it, but basically Yamaha says they've reduced the tumbler effect of the engine, which is to say they have made the engine more metered than before, more linear. We know that the 2023 and beyond YZ450F is a really hard-hitting motocross bike. So I guess for now they want to make it, again, more approachable for someone that isn't Eli Tomac or Cooper Webb. So really interested to see those changes. But as far as the basic motorcycle goes, this is an evolution. It's not a total rewrite of the YZ450F. It's just, I guess, showing a softer side. And I'm really keen to see whether Yamaha have achieved that. Otherwise, there's some cosmetic changes. There's a new two-piece side plates here. And Yamaha have also made big changes to their Power Tuner app. Now, this is an industry-leading app where you can change, you know, the mapping just by a simple slider, or you can really get into the telemetry of the bike and change it to exactly how you want it. It's a really effective app. For 2026, they've actually got a lockout function. So you can lock the bike when it's stored in your shed, for instance, and no one is able to start it until you unlock it, which is a great deterrent for thieves. You know, I think just one extra step in the process to potentially turn someone off nicking your bike is a great thing. So they are some of the wholesale changes for 2026. Let's go out and Appin and check it out for ourselves. All right guys, so we have just finished our laps here at the Appin Motorcycle Complex in Western Sydney. Spoke through some of the changes with this bike, probably not all of them in that intro. There is a lot to get your head around for 2026. Engine, frame, suspension changes, heavier flywheel as well. So we know that by doing that, the bike is going to be a little bit more metered in its power delivery, but also less prone to conking out as you're approaching corners. That's the thing with a lot of these 450s. You want to ride a higher gear to get a more linear power band rather than the spiky power band of a ratio lower. But sometimes you can't do that because on approach to corners, the thing just wants to flame out. There's some of the really impressive changes for 2026. I think actually Yamaha has achieved its brief of bringing to market a more mellow 450. I think it's still going to have the angry 450 tag. It's still aggressive if you want it to be, but pretty easy outside of the box. It's shown today with the Power Tuner app. You can, if you want to go just the very basic sliding scale, you can make it less mellow or more aggressive. If you want to really go into the analytics of the bike, you can change things up. So we were just nice middle ground today, and I found that, yeah, the bike works really well. In 2023, when Yamaha launched this thing, the throttle was very, very connected to the rear wheel. And what I mean by that, if you came out of a turn and gave it a lot of berries, you'd feel the thing wanting to wheel stand. You'd have to really clamber on top of it to be able to keep the nose down. For 26, that's still a trait, but because you can, I think it's more metered, like it's not as quick to come up, but also because you can come into a turn a gear higher, that's what I found today. Instead of taking second turn and the front wheel lifting, go third, nice smooth through the corner, and then just stay on the gas. And the thing was really connected. I love the KYB suspension. I'm a huge fan of it. The forks have never really been a problem with these things, but it's quite impressive what they've done with the shock for 2026 as well. So it's all around reducing the initial harshness of the suspension to make it feel more planted, less jittery, more confidence inspiring. So they've achieved that, box tick there. The other thing is just the power down. Out of the box, I'm really impressed with the way that this thing sends power to the rear wheel and actually drives really cleanly out of corners. You occasionally will have to shut off to be able to get the front wheel down, but in general, super confidence inspiring with the way that it worked. I guess in terms of the ergonomics of the bike, there were never any complaints with that before. Yes, you know you're on a 450, it's got a lot of power, it does have that engine inertia that people often speak about. The other trait that kind of carries over with the YZ, and I kind of wonder whether it's maybe a little bit exacerbated for 2026 because of the chassis changes and everything else, it's a bike that you do have to muscle into corners occasionally. So through deep ruts today, you had to make a very noted effort that, hey, all right, I'm going to go that rut, I'm going to muscle my way in and kind of be aggressive with it. It's not a bike that you kind of, as soon as you think about turning it turns, it's not that. But Yamahas in the past haven't been that either. But I think, you know, the point worth making here is this is a first impression today. We haven't really played around too much with clickers. We've only done the very basics with the Power Tuner app. There's a lot of variability with this bike. So yes, it had the reputation as being quite aggressive, but that was out of the box. You could actually change things to make it a bit more metered. And I remember doing comparisons with it in the past, and it's still a bike I'd come away wanting to own because I felt like there was room for growth with it. There was room to get more comfortable in it, room to be quicker on it as well. So in terms of being faster over the distance of a moto, Yamaha have ticked the box there. It really does feel like this bike is a little bit less angry, just as quick as before, but it's a little bit more thoughtful with the tuning of all the key controls, the suspension as well. Finally, last but not least, the hydraulic clutch. So Definitely a little bit lighter than the cable clutch before, but importantly, no compromise in terms of the pickup point, in terms of reliability and everything else. It felt super consistent, like a duck on water today, so it worked really well. So they are the very basics of the Yamaha YZ450F. Super impressive bike. It was already at the pointy end of the class. I think Yamaha have just opened up their prospective buyer base, because now it's going to be a bike that's relevant to more riders, not only the fastest guys in class.